Since the day Jacques Vaughn took over the Brooklyn Nets, they've been as good as any team in the league, and from that moment on, Ben Simmons has in his way been as impactful as any player on the roster. Since being transferred from the Philadelphia 76ers to the Brooklyn Nets in February, Simmons' position has significantly shifted. Let's find out how Simmons' stats with the Nets vary from those with the 76ers. First off, Simmons' time at Philly. Many fans were enthusiastic about Simmons' potential to become a top point forward after his debut season. Some even predicted that Simmons would grow into a two-way player for Philadelphia, similar to LeBron. The biggest worry was Simmons' inability to make three-point shots, as he went 0 for 11 in his rookie year. However, most believed he might also improve his shooting given his youth. Ben Simmons, a former first-round draft pick, has had a rocky career thus far. Simmons was a three-time NBA All-Star and contender for Defensive Player of the Year at his peak. When he was at his worst, fans and the media frequently questioned Simmons' mental toughness and saw him as an offensive liability. Ben Simmons discussed the contrast between his contemporary Sixers and those from his era as the Nets were riding an 11-game winning run. Next up, his stats at the 76ers. Ben Simmons missed the entirety of his rookie season due to a foot injury after being selected first overall by Philadelphia in the 2016 NBA Draft. The next year, though, he continued to live up to the expectations of a number one choice by showcasing his playmaking, rebounding, and defensive skills. In the 2017-18 season, Simmons shot 54.5% from the field and averaged 15.8 points, 8.1 rebounds, 8.2 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.9 blocks per game. Simmons was chosen as the NBA Rookie of the Year in 2018, despite not having played at all the previous season. In his subsequent and last 3 seasons in Philadelphia, Simmons' offensive performance barely changed. He was nevertheless a successful playmaker with a defensive attitude. From the 2018-2019 season through the 2020-21 season, Simmons averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.7 blocks a game. Additionally, he had a 56.6 shooting percentage. Following his performance, Simmons was chosen for 3 consecutive All-Star teams from 2019 to 2021, as well as 2 All-Defensive first teams in 2020 and 2021. Simmons even earned a spot on the 2020 All-NBA third team, putting him among the top 15 NBA players. Don't go anywhere, we're going to discuss why he's performing better with the Nets, and why he was so hated towards the end. But Simmons' inability to shoot kept the Sixers from moving forward. Simmons spent his final 3 years in Philadelphia shooting only 5 for 23, 21.7% from 3. Sixers supporters began to gradually turn against him and criticize his work ethic as a result of his inability to even try three-pointers. Additionally, it became more and more obvious that Simmons was not the right choice to be the co-star of Sixers standout big man Joel Embiid. After he infamously squandered an uncontested dunk in Game 7 of the 2021 Eastern Conference playoffs against Atlanta, Simmons' resentment among Sixers supporters grew. With 3:31 left in the game, the Sixers were behind by just 2 points, but they lost 103-96. As a result, the fans never forgave Simmons. Due to a holdout and an unexplained back ailment, Simmons missed all of last season after his terrible 2021 playoff performance. Later, Simmons admitted that he was also having problems with his mental health. After Simmons initially refused to play last season, Philadelphia eventually traded him to Brooklyn in February. Simmons was a part of the Sixers trade for superstar shooting guard James Harden. Ben Simmons' overall regular season record with Philadelphia was 178-97. However, throughout Simmons' time with the Sixers, the team only had a 19-15 record in the playoffs and never advanced past the second round. So, how did he start at the Nets? Ben Simmons has subsequently adapted to a supporting role for the Nets this season after not appearing in a single game for Brooklyn the previous year. Brooklyn had a terrible start to the 2022-23 campaign, dropping 5 of their first 6 games in October. During this time, Simmons averaged 6.2 points per game while averaging 4.3 personal fouls per game and fouling out twice. Simmons continued to make an overall impact in October, averaging 6.5 rebounds and 7.3 assists. But this wasn't enough to quell the naysayers as Brooklyn continued to suffer defeats. For his first 9 games, Simmons scored less than 10 points, but a strong stretch was soon to come. In a game in which teammate Irving was not present, the Australian had a significant breakthrough on November 18th against the Portland Trail Blazers, tallying 15 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. Brooklyn turned their season around with this victory, which came by a slim 109-107 margin. And now, how is he performing currently? Simmons Simmons is now averaging 8.2 points, 6.7 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 1.3 steals, and 0.6 blocks per game in 21 games in Brooklyn. Also, he is shooting 61.1%. Simmons has only attempted one three-pointer for Brooklyn, though, and has yet to make one. The Nets' expectations when they acquired Ben Simmons in a trade were probably not met by this level of output. The Nets are still on the rise and have a 12-9 record in the matches Simmons has played in. Overall, Brooklyn is 19-12 and fourth in the Eastern Conference. They have also won their last 6 games, led by stars Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Moving on, how has his role evolved in the team? When the Nets acquired Ben Simmons in a trade, they had this in mind. Despite the Nets being happy with his 12 points and 11 rebounds, Simmons' finest performance wasn't about those figures. No, they were about the MVP frontrunner Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, who was covered by Simmons, who had a disappointing night with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 turnovers. Although Simmons will never be a tremendous offensive force, if the Nets advance to the playoffs, they can expect him to deliver a similar performance to the one he gave against the Bucks as the former #1 overall selection who has fallen from grace. Guard the opposing team's top player and spend the entire evening tormenting him. The Nets, who are 21-12 and on an 8-game winning streak while spending Christmas at home watching the NBA, may have found a winning recipe with that. For the first time in a long time, everything appears to be going well for the Nets. They appear to have discovered a formula that enables Simmons, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving to flourish together and, more importantly, get along with one another and haul the other players. The victory over the Bucks should allay any concerns about the kind of opponents the Nets have defeated during their recent run. So why was he a big gamble, given that he missed all of last season and was forced to be traded by the 76ers as a result of a dismal playoff performance in 2021? Simmons is undoubtedly the greatest question mark of the big three for the Nets, at least on the floor. Simmons was sidelined by a back issue when he was traded to Brooklyn in February, and the Nets are still being careful about it because he has only tried one three-point shot this year. His frailty — Simmons also suffered a foot injury after being picked that sidelined him for a season — and hesitation to shoot are weaknesses that are not expected to improve. However, Simmons has the kind of defensive impact that matters, and his passing talent can make up for certain shortcomings on the other end. That was brought home to the Bucks as Simmons was crucial to the 118-100 Nets victory. The Nets will suddenly appear to be one of the most dangerous teams in the Eastern Conference if it is a sign of what Simmons can provide in the crucial games. In the aftermath of the victory, Nets coach Jacques Vaughn observed, "They're gonna make some threes, but we didn't panic. Giannis would occasionally sneak past them," he claimed, but they would strive to maintain composure during the evening to position several bodies in front of him. He's coming downhill and hard at you, making it difficult to do. He thought the boys responded nicely. And now, how fruitful is this matchup for the two parties? The Nets' victory run is the longest in the league this year, and their longest since 2005-2006. And throughout this stretch, neither Durant nor Irving, two high-scoring talents, had the team's greatest net rating. It belongs to Ben Simmons. Simmons had the highest net rating, plus 21.7, defensive rating, 106.6, and even the highest offensive rating, 127.9, among the regular rotation players for the Hawks game. What has been the secret? Only Simmons could likely provide a more clear response, according to Irving, but as a teammate, just watching him smiling, having fun, and being competitive is simply him being himself. In his opinion, Simmons is at his finest when he can just be himself and believe that people have his back. When the Nets traded former MVP James Harden to Philadelphia for him at the trade deadline last year, Brooklyn anticipated getting the greatest version of him in return. The Nets are learning how to play off high IQ Simmons in a way that enables him to not only get along with fellow non-shooter Nick Claxton, but also prosper when necessary. On the other hand, he is beginning to resemble the star who was previously named the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Donovan Mitchell, a standout for the Jazz who was rumored to have mocked Simmons in the summer, was held to just 15 points on just 5 of 16 shooting, which was less than half of his typical massive 28.9 average, thanks to Simmons. According to recent speculations, Harden may now consider leaving Philadelphia in the free agent market. Finally, why does he think he's performing better? The majority of people derided him for his games and behavior, and he was all but an outcast. But right now, Simmons is demonstrating to everyone that he still contributes significantly to a title contender. Unlike Philadelphia, the Nets, on the other hand, he claimed, have a lot of seasoned players like Irving and Durant who realize that it should be taken game by game without getting carried away. Whatever your opinion of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, these two players are aware of what it takes to secure a title. Simmons needed that level of leadership in Philadelphia, where he was compelled to serve as the team's captain. He is much more at ease working in the background and aiding his colleagues unnoticed. That's it for today. If you liked the video, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content just like this. See you in the next one.